My name is Andrey, I'm 31 years old. About 9 years ago, I fell out of the 9th floor window of this building. The day started out like any other. I was supposed to meet with someone that day, someone with whom I had unresolved financial issues. They were acquaintances, not exactly friends, but people I knew. Well, it wasn't a joint business, but we had a shared idea that we were supposed to carry out. There was no profit and no return of money. So I wanted to settle who owed what to whom and part ways, with no more business between us. I remember coming in, I remember sitting at the table, I remember where I put my things, and then I lost consciousness right there at the table. The last thing I remember is what was on the table. I remember the table wobbling. I remember all of that. I remember the whole apartment. I came to the meeting around 11 in the evening. The ambulance was called and took me away around 5:30 or 6 in the morning. Someone who was in the apartment called the ambulance, but not right away. I fell somewhere around here. There used to be a flower bed here, and there was another tree as well. They found me unconscious in that state. My leg was lying in an unnatural position. My right leg was roughly near my head. From the whole situation, it's clear that something went wrong, but what exactly went wrong, I don't remember. I can't and don't have the right to blame anyone or say that someone is at fault for this.
But you weren't drunk?
Before meeting them, my friends and I had some drinks, ate dinner, then parted ways. I visited the guys, but I don't know much about the actual fall incident. Criminal cases and investigations typically start automatically, but to my knowledge, no one faced punishment. After that, I woke up in the intensive care unit. I was in a coma for either 5 or 7 days. During that time, I had one dream. For me, it felt like just a regular dream, like I fell asleep and then woke up. I dreamed that I was wearing roller skates and I was on some kind of stretcher, and that was the situation. Well, in my dream, it felt like I was lying on that stretcher, just like that. For some reason, they were bringing me in there, just like I was lying, basically, and in a coma, in the same position. And for some reason, I kept saying in my dream that I wanted to go home. When I regained consciousness, I looked to the right, looked to the left, saw that my legs were broken, and thought, well, I guess I was hit by a car. Then a nurse came in and told me that I had fallen from the 9th floor.
Well, I was actually a bit glad about the fact that I survived it all.
I still didn't recall much. Later, I started to become aware of what had happened and where I had been. There was a spinal fracture, a hip fracture, a displaced fracture of the talus bone in the heel, a fracture in the other heel, just a fracture, rib fractures, a ruptured liver, a ruptured intestine, a ruptured lung, and apparently a ruptured spleen. The most serious thing was the traumatic brain injury. That fall, well, I just theoretically replayed it in my head, how it could have happened, how I could have fallen. Just the order in which I got my fractures and injuries, roughly what position I was in as I was flying and falling. They said that I also broke a small branch on the tree. Theoretically, I broke that branch with my stomach. At that moment, most likely my legs went forward and I landed on my feet. I don't know, the doctors told me everything was fine. They initially said I would walk in a month, then a month and a half. I needed to stay in bed longer and have another surgery soon, among other things. I spent about half a year in the hospital. So out of this whole period, I had the hardest moment. It was when, let's say, the orderlies, they argued that according to the doctors, I could sit in a wheelchair and move around, like to go to the bathroom, so they wouldn't have to bring me a bedpan. And one time I tried to move to the wheelchair myself and made it to the bathroom. In general, the whole thing turned out to be extremely painful. There was a walking person in the ward who helped me get back into the wheelchair and then helped me get back onto the bed. After that, I had back pain for a long time. To be honest, when I was in the hospital, there were always cheerful guys in the ward, and we were always doing something, joking, constantly telling stories. For example, the doctor said that I needed to use a wheelchair. Well, I was like, okay, I'll use a wheelchair. Well, that's still better than just lying in bed. Somehow, I didn't get upset. I knew I was alive, I knew my head was fine, that I could think, and that I would still be able to do something no matter what. Life goes on regardless, and there's nothing you can do about it. It happened, and that's just how it is. I didn't even think about the fact that now I was disabled, or that there was something wrong with my health. I really didn't worry about it at all. I was discharged from the hospital unable to walk. I couldn't move around on my own. I don't even remember how long I was lying at home for a long time. On my own, I would slowly take a metal chair with a backrest and start walking back and forth across the room. Because, well, after lying on my back for half a year, all my muscles had weakened. You could say, yes, it was like starting all over again. Well, I started trying to walk, plus I had the Lizarov apparatus on my thigh, so it was uncomfortable, my leg would give out, I sat crooked, it was uncomfortable, my leg hurt, my back hurt. In general, it was uncomfortable to move around in the wheelchair. I never considered the possibility of never walking again. Somehow, I always maintained a positive outlook. I understood perfectly well that if I could feel my legs and move my toes, then why wouldn't I walk? I was sure I would walk again. From the moment I was discharged from the hospital to the moment I started walking without any special aids or a cane, more than a year passed. Now, as a consequence, one of my legs is shorter than the other. I don't remember exactly, but I think it's about 7 centimeters. So, because of this, I have to place special orders. I met a person who adds extra sole to my sneakers, and I also order an insole with a heel lift from an orthopedic factory. So this way, I partially compensate for this loss.
And this helps me walk and move around normally. But visually, by the way I walk, yes, it's noticeable that something is not right.
Because of what happened, everyone was talking about it. So that's another thing. At the moment when I woke up from the coma, a movie was released. Toy, thank you for being alive. That's it. And people probably joked to me, thank you for being alive. Many people are surprised that I fell, had many injuries and everything else, but I don't stand still. I'm always moving, always doing something, keeping busy. Now I've taken up craftsmanship, making items out of wood. I make them well, and my products are in demand. After these events, I started to look at life differently, to handle my affairs and finances in a new way. But before the flight, I lived large, denied myself nothing, we partied and had fun. Yes, I became more responsible and cautious. I developed a distrust of people, specifically when it comes to finances, meaning I don't lend money at all. Well, I mean, if it's small, insignificant amounts, that's different. But when it comes to work, I don't give out any products on credit. It's only in this regard that I've lost trust. I have a family. My child is surprised by everything. I have some health issues. I'm no longer an athlete and can't run or play soccer, but I can still jog. It doesn't stop me from living, I don't dwell on it. The main thing is that I'm still alive. Never have I dreamed about those incidents related to the fall. I've never had nightmares about it at all. No, I'm not afraid of heights, I feel fine. We went to the Carpathians with the guys, to the mountains, and climbed to the highest slope. And despite everything that happened to me, I try to stay positive, find joy in life, strive to achieve something, reach my goals, and improve my life.